Welcome back, Bond fans, to another episode of the Swiss Connection, and we're already having fun. My dear friend Yannick is in Switzerland. Hi, Yannick. How are you today?
Hi, Benjamin. I'm great. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine. I'm just thinking about how your week must have been. You had builders in the house.
Fortunately, not Egyptian builders, but they were loud nonetheless.
Oh, you could have turned that into a quote, but you didn't.
Well, it didn't constitute as a quote?
No.
No, okay.
No, it constitutes as a quote when you say Egyptian builders.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, okay, fair enough. Okay. I let that one slip. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, I really have to listen closely so I don't miss a quote accidentally. But
Yeah,
you always have a pause.
Don't worry. I'll let you know when I hit one.
Except last episode when you threw that one in at the end. That was quite a move.
Oh, that was yeah.
What I wanted to speak to you about today, actually, I wanted to watch something together with you. On Facebook, we saw the links to the YouTube channel of Bond pics of photographer David Williams, who in 1999 was present when they filmed the opening sequence of The World Is Not Enough. And we, as big Brosnan fans and big fans of this era of films, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day. We love these films, and we soak up every behind-the-scenes material we can get. So actually, I met David Williams in London in 2000, and I have the original video cassette that he made. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes, and he got very close to the production, as you saw in the videos, and we will have a 20-minute clip that I edited together from David's material, which really, it aged badly because it's VHS-C material. It was filmed on the same that I filmed with when we made fan films and stuff, but I will have the video put in for everybody to watch at the bottom of our screen here, so you can see our live reactions. Everybody can see our live reactions, and we do that quite a lot. We watch a lot of videos together. The other day we accidentally watched GoldenEye together.
Yes.
A full length. We were talking about completely other stuff while GoldenEye was playing in the background.
Yeah.
With a shared screen. So that was actually great.
It was.
So here it is. That is the video cassette, the original. So it has the cassette in it. And like a proper rental, I didn't rewind it. But I remember this was a really delightful watch when I got it, and it is something you can have in your hands. You can put somewhere. I will put in the cover in a minute, and you can order it as a special edition DVD from bondpics.com. So I put it under the video so you can visit it. And we're now going to watch 20 minutes of it. So this is a stuntman, I think.
Yeah, most likely, yes.
Yeah. And the Sunseeker of the Cigar Girl.
Yes.
That must be near Parliament.
But I mean, what a way to start a Bond movie. I mean, we were talking about this last time, is when you had, those were really special things. That boat alone just sold the movie for me.
True.
Those pictures just stayed in my head until today, when it was the first Bond movie I saw in the cinema with my parents. And those scenes in particular, especially with the music of David Arnold.
Yeah.
It was just.
So true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, and it is one of the longest opening sequences of any Bond film.
Yes.
So, but terribly exciting. And the what I find really amazing is what you see here, the build-up. They had 2 or 3, I think 4 boats even at the Millennium Dome, and that David Williams with his camera could get so close.
Yeah.
Today, that is almost impossible.
Impossible, yes.
I mean, you always have newspaper snaps or something. Even now, Bond 25 filming in Jamaica, you have crispy, blurred images, close-up shots. But here, this is actually like standing right next to it.
Yes, absolutely.
And David is a great guy. He gave me a tour through the filming locations. We went to the Docklands and everything. What we see here on the video footage, he showed it to me in 2019 years ago.
But can I ask you something? You've been in many of these locations, right? That you see in that opening scene.
Yeah.
And I've used your interactive map on the Bond Bulletin page that you have.
Yeah.
And did I get that right? That many of those, because when you watch the movie, these locations, they appear like, of course, they do that many times in movies. They appears like they come one after another, but actually, they were the single segments. They were quite far apart sometimes. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
What I always start in London, what is easy to access, is the scene where he jumps into that little boathouse where the canoes are inside.
Yeah.
That's Tobacco Dock. From Tower Bridge, that is easy to access. You just go around the corner.
Yes.
And you're also in locations of Skyfall, so you can connect them. And the Docklands are a bit far out. So you have to go by under and overground, I think we went. And but then basically you have to walk. When I was there, I walked through a good pair of shoes, yeah. So what we see later, the bridge, as Wade Eastwood here, I think his name is. Yeah, Wade Eastwood. Stuntman. Sarah Donahue. Doubling for Maria Grazia Cucinotta on the stunt team. So today, this is... you can't get these shots.
Absolutely. And I think
it's amazing, this little boat.
It's absolutely mind-blowing.
Which is, I think, actually used by the Royal Navy. They have little boats like that. I read it somewhere, but I forgot where. And it's... I don't think that it's easy. It certainly doesn't look easy.
To drive, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can go quite fast.
Yeah.
If you're really chasing somebody, this is a perfect thing to use.
And you see in many scenes that actually sometimes how close they've gotten to objects, to another boat or to the docks or somewhere. Sometimes it was really, really close. And, I mean, besides, what I think what I did a fantastic job with was, twin pair of Sunseekers.
Yeah. Very nice.
What they did a fantastic job with is that you I could remember one scene where you could actually see, that's the stunt double, or that's not the actual actor. They did quite a good job hiding that in those scenes.
I think if you go through it frame by frame with the Blu-ray, you probably see Wade Eastwood or something, but not as prominent as in GoldenEye. Or Moonraker, where you had during the free fall sequence.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I mean, this is Tower Bridge. So when you just go back there of Tower Bridge, around that big building, that is where they filmed the boathouse. That's Tobacco Dock. And this is, of course, the deleted scene with the police trying to chase Bond and the cigar girl.
Yes.
And this also a deleted scene with the HMS Queen Mary.
Yes.
I think where the cigar girl pushes Bond underneath these piers.
Oh, yes.
And this is, I know I've been there. You are literally at the Thames walkway there. So it's very narrow. If he makes a mistake in steering, he has to use boat number 2.
Yeah, and you can see how he adjusts all the time, so it's really must have been terribly difficult to do that.
Yeah. I mean, stuntmen see a lot, but what must he have thought when he said, "Hey, look, we've got this tiny boat here. It's a jet boat. Would you be interested in doing that?" Oh yeah, no problem. Jet boat. Do that every weekend. And I mean, it's comfortable. He has a lot of room there.
Yeah.
But basically, it's like a canoe with a steering wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be sick within a couple of minutes.
That must be
It must be fun.
Exactly, but I mean the other thing is that you just wet all the time. You can see that every shot they're completely soaked. I mean, both when Pierce does his shots and when the stuntman does his shots, they're soaked all the time.
Yeah. Here he's quite dry, but later when they do the
No, look, he's wet. I can see
Oh yeah,
it.
yeah, a bit.
Completely
It's,
wet.
yeah. And what I like is he actually is aware that people are there,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see him smiling. That is really, that's fun. I mean,
Yes, yes.
today they would probably, yeah, have their earpiece and say, hey, there are people taking photos, and you would be gone in a matter of minutes.
Yeah. But you know, then again, you know, you had these times when social media was barely around or not at all, and then you didn't have to worry if people would post stuff and then giving away plot points, and that's just, you know, of course today that's completely inconceivable.
And from that material, this is Waterloo Pier,
Mm-hmm.
where the cigar girl crashes into that thing, which they
Yes.
just built on top of the floating pier here.
Mm-hmm.
And the actual scene is not in it when the boat crashes into it, but the aftermath, that is really,
Yeah.
that's nice because they have to get all of it back into a boat to clean the river. That's really quite a job. Yeah. Oh,
That's,
look at that.
oh yes. Oh wow. But that's something I keep asking myself too, you know, also in the other scenes where she shoots the machine gun, which we will see later, or the mortars, you know, all these weapons, well, not the mortars, but the machine guns, they eject tons and tons of shells.
Yeah.
And you know, I imagine, well, maybe back in those days it was possible, but someone must pick those shells up and, you know.
Yeah. I don't know if these mortars, the mortar explosions, they were probably sort of like special effects water bombs that
Yeah, but,
are on some kind of a lead or something. I have no idea. Really, I'm
yeah,
not a
but
special effects.
but the machine gun shells,
specialist.
for instance,
Yeah, they end up in the water. Yeah.
yeah.
But then again, so much ends up in the River Thames that you don't want there.
Oh, that's Vic Armstrong. We saw him too when we were on the Walk of Fame opening on the Shilltown, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, very nice man. Big
Yeah,
Armstrong.
exactly.
Like him very much.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good stunt coordinator also. So, I mean, this basically comes down to him. He prepared the shots and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially here we will see him in a couple of seconds when the boat turns into that sideway,
Yeah.
which you can see from the other side of the Thames. I mean, you can also go there, but you don't get the shots in the picture if you want to take a photo. Look how he calculates the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did these shots so often
Mm-hmm.
and repeated them. They must have so many unused shots
Yes.
for
Yes.
it to look right.
Yeah.
I mean, and this must have cost a lot of money.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And actually here there were tourists around, because
Mhm.
there is this scene where one tourist actually hugs and kisses the stuntman because he thought he was James Bond. That was amazing. I remember from the video cassette, I thought, what the hell is going on? It must come up right here.
Mhm.
So there's Simon Crane.
Yes.
There's that scene.
Oh yes. Oh.
And everybody's cheering. See, he thought he was James Bond. But hey, give stuntman a kiss. I mean,
Absolutely.
that is outstanding work. Here, Sarah Donahue doing the boat driving in the Sunseeker. She did all the driving of the Sunseeker.
You know what? I admire these skills when driving this huge Sunseeker boat, because I have driven a few boats in my life too, and these
Really?
things,
I
yeah,
didn't-
not Sunseekers, but also motorboats and stuff like that. But and they're incredibly hard to sort of predict how they go, and they're really sort of it's hard to predict and to maneuver around, and to see these shots going through those narrow corridors and stuff like that in the water and everything. It's just I can't fathom how anybody can do that. Really, it
Yeah.
seems so easy, and it looks so almost chilled, because the boat appears to be moving quite slowly. But
Yeah,
that's,
but you
that's
see
some real skill.
You see how it swirls around, what kind of power it has. I mean,
Yes.
just in that scene, it pushed the little boat right out of the picture almost.
Mhm.
So you can see the force that this Sunseeker
Yeah.
has. That is the one I like. it's not in the film, but they just spray them. It's just fantastic, and that's the barrel roll.
Yeah.
That's what I like. That was I think in the Docklands, because that's close to the bridge where he goes underwater.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that in the original behind the scenes with the sound, so I keep quiet. It's just you hear the pump that lifts the boat up. It's really great. I don't remember seeing that on the DVD, and also that. It was probably never used, and he's wearing a helmet, so he wants people to move out of the way. So, I mean, Gary Powell, very focused, always in his stunt work, and that's what I like, because he's been with the Bond films for so long.
Yes.
And always quality work, and you can see that in the final sequences.
Absolutely.
The work of Gary Powell and Simon Crane. And that's Pierce.
Oh, yes.
That's Pierce, yeah, with a big camera rig.
And you can see the boat struggling because it has the whole camera thing there.
Yeah. What must he have thought when they told him, "Oh, you're going to be driving a little jet boat with a camera rig on the side"? Oh, I'm fine with that. No. All in a day's work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn, that's not a... No, it doesn't count. It's a...
No.
It's a soundtrack. Damn.
Close but no cigar.
Ouch. Okay. Yep. Okay, you opened it. There we go.
Thank you.
Yep. Signed, sealed, delivered. He's really relaxed. That's really great. He's really relaxed, and he knows people are there.
Yeah.
Smiling and waving. It's really... He's a great guy. I love Pierce Brosnan. Not just as Bond, I love him in many films, and
General, yeah.
on a personal level as well. Never met him, but
No.
him. And here he got really wet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a couple of stills that we're going to look at later.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember having a still of this scene being filmed as a print. It was on my wall for a couple of years. Oh yeah. Machine gun fire.
And now I see... that was incredibly close.
Yeah. And actually it's just going by, because that was the barrel roll.
Yes,
she jumps
exactly.
to the side. In the film she jumps to the side. Oh, and here, that was Glengale Bridge. That is again where they filmed the barrel roll on the other side. And Glengale Bridge is in the Docklands.
Yes.
So, and I think somewhere in between they made the decision to change these red and white, what are they, barriers hanging down from the bridge, from wood to sort of a soft rubber, because they kept going into it with the boat. And I love how he's going again.
Yes.
He's turning the boat around, he's straight going again. It's just passing through the bridge, trying to get this underwater shot. This must have been really tough.
Yeah, and you see how quickly this whole thing moves. It's really... But you know what I found funny? I posted this last time.
Oh, try reverse. That's backwards.
Oh, yeah.
Bam! Point for me.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but that is, I think, one of the rubber things. You see it in
yes, it wobbles, yes.
Yeah, just throw it away. I don't need that. Throw it away. Yep.
Throw it away, keep going.
Can you take that off my boat, please? Thank you dearly.
No, but the one thing I wanted to say, what I didn't understand is that when you hear the sound from this footage, you can hear that this boat clearly has... Did you see the hair?
It's Gary Powell.
Wow. What sort of baffles me, I love these American V8 engines, and this boat has a very powerful V8 engine, you can hear it. And I'm quite baffled why they, of course they couldn't take from the set because it has too much noise and stuff like that, but why they replaced it with such a tiny little noise that it has in the movie that's almost borderline annoying,
Yeah. listen to that. These are the mortars. Well, it's gone now, but also not in the film. I would have loved to have the mortars. That's what I like. Explosions.
Oh yeah.
Yay. Really great.
Wow. The second guy jumping away.
This is really, really great. And it produced quite a lot of smoke.
Oh yeah.
So that is really I don't remember. I think this is the place I found last. Because you look for bridge and this big building, and it's also in the Docklands, but I don't know exactly where it is. And they did a lot of additional explosions because either just to film the explosion or to have the Q-boat in the background without the boat. But that was done quite a lot on 2 days.
But tell me something. We talked last time about our visit on the Vesaska Dam from GoldenEye, which gave us a very special feeling and was very special to be there. Did you get the same feeling when you visited those places here? Or are they more feel like generic?
Not generic, no. Glengale Bridge I liked very much, where the boat goes underwater. I really loved that, and I made a video there that I like visiting exactly these spots. GoldenEye, of course, it is a super imposing structure.
Yes.
And such an imposing stunt.
Yes.
Yeah. And what is nice about The World Is Not Enough, the locations, is you have a lot of walking and you can see London. You can see some parts of London that you normally won't see. But I had pretty much the same feeling, yeah. At Vesaska, at the dam, you of course have more of the feeling because of the height. Yeah. The sheer height of that thing. And the how iconic the stunt was.
Yeah. Yes.
Doesn't mean that the boat chase is in any way generic. It's really, really great.
No, but I mean, what I meant was the dam itself. Yeah. Of course, is an imposing structure, and like you said, it is special in itself. And many of those locations here and the boat chase along the Thames are more like, I wouldn't say throwaway objects, but it's just stuff that's there. That's just daily life, so to speak. So I can imagine that it's less imposing.
Yep, that's true. What I liked was when we filmed my documentary A Bond for Life, when I was with Marcos Conce from James Bond Brazil, and we went to the opposite side of Millennium Dome. What I had seen on satellite maps before, that somewhere there the camera must have been when they filmed the boat explosion and whatever, and where the Q-boat ejects from the restaurant, which was filmed in a completely different city. And much of it we didn't see because it wasn't in the actual boat chase. But you have a nice view towards the Millennium Dome, and when you film something like you speak to the camera in front of the Millennium Dome with the River Thames behind you, this is just a great shot. Yeah, it's just, I think I have a photo somewhere. If I find it, I put it in. I edit in here. And yeah, I always take a moment and look at the filming location, and I don't evaluate anything. If this makes me feel great, or I just look at it. I just take it in. Okay. It's like Switzerland. I mean, many places we have just seen driving through, like Lauterbrunnen, for example. I mean, On Her Majesty's was filmed all in and around that city. And you can see many buildings in the film that we just passed through because we had to get in or out of the city. Yes. And I saw them from, I mean, you were concentrating on driving, but I saw them through the window and said, hey, I know that one, that's what Tracy goes past. And I just see it, I take it in, and I know I can go back anytime if I want to. It's not that far away being in Germany. I mean, I couldn't go to whatever, Las Vegas, to any of the casinos, or Elrod House, Diamonds Are Forever, just by like that. Yes. But all the locations give me something special, a special feeling. It's the I have been there experience, and I have seen it for myself. And thanks to David Williams, I could experience that just a year after it was filmed. The World Is Not Enough. And he really gave me a great tour, and also a newspaper cutout. I think he gave me the whole newspaper. I said, "Don't you need that for your archive?" And he said, "No, I've got 2 of them." It's not
okay. Well, they'll print anything these days.
What? Sorry?
They'll print anything these days.
Right. Okay, I see where this is going. Oh, I'm holding the glass wrong.
Oh, yes.
Pierce Brosnan's. You do that. You have more room with your.
Okay.
How do you do that? You do it first.
You just take it like that, and then the glass is too big, but you can just go like that, and you just go.
Yeah. Always that finger is always somewhere, and he always drinks his martini like that.
Yeah. We were just talking about that because he received the honorary doctor from Dickinson College, I think, or was it? I'm not certain about the school anyway, but he gave this acceptance speech and motivational speech, and he went to the podium to do his speech, and he poured himself a glass of water, which was a much smaller glass, and then I was just waiting because you told me this once. Have you ever noticed how he drinks? How he always drinks? And I was like, okay, now let's see. And he was not playing Bond there, but he was just.
Yeah. But it somehow it needs to be a martini glass, otherwise it doesn't work. It needs to have a broad brim. Otherwise, it doesn't work with a glass that obviously that is a gin and tonic.
Yeah, that's too heavy anyway. I can see with this glass.
Gin and tonic is too heavy, or the glass?
No, the glass.
Right. It's not very heavy. It's actually quite weak. Terribly sorry.
Well, go for it.
Yeah. I said then it needs more gin, and then I'm already doing stuff. But okay, no, I really I throw a clip in here of Pierce Brosnan drinking. That is really
yes.
That's really something. Have a look at that.
Mr. Zukowski will be delighted to see you.
Mojito? You should try it.
Well, speaking of Pierce Brosnan, what always strikes me, especially with The World Is Not Enough, I said this before, that many of the scenes were very memorable to me, as well as the accompanying music that David Arnold has written back then. Yeah. And I've just also bought this extended re-release of the soundtrack with all the cues, which I found absolutely fabulous. And I just think that especially...
Not just you bought it, I bought it too.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me, of course. And what I think is just at these pictures, especially the Brosnan ones, the older ones as well, but Brosnan ones, they were just the pictures and Brosnan's performance that just lent themselves to use the Bond theme. He fitted so well together with him, and that's something, some people ask me over the years, would you like to score a Bond movie nowadays? And I said, well, first of all, probably I'll never get the chance to do that, but when I see Daniel Craig, and it's nothing to do with him or his performance, it's just generally the movies, I just think they just call much less for the Bond theme. I just watched the scenes and I said, wow, where would I have used the Bond theme? And I can hardly spot scenes. Maybe it's also his performance, maybe it's the movies, but I just feel it just gets lost a bit.
Yes, I can understand that fully, because I have the same feeling. And especially in the last 2 films with Thomas Newman doing the score, he reused a lot of his material that he already composed. Skyfall was the first where they brought in a new composer, with Thomas Newman. And the only hint of a Bond theme was during that digger scene at the beginning, in the opening sequence. But they remained hints.
Yes.
I didn't really like that. You have to have, or in my view, you have to have a full-blown Bond theme somewhere. But you're right, it has to fit to what you actually see on screen.
Yeah. But if you ask me now, if you play me a segment of that that scene that you just talked about, I don't think I would recognize the cue. And then you take the opposite of that, Tomorrow Never Dies, that it's basically just the whole soundtrack through is the Bond theme. I mean, it comes all the time, and I think David Arnold even said in one of the audio commentaries, I think for The World Is Not Enough, it was that he said they were a little more conservative with the Bond theme in The World Is Not Enough as opposed to Tomorrow Never Dies, because there was all over the place. But still, and we've talked about this too, even if it was used all the time in Tomorrow Never Dies, you can absolutely pinpoint which rendition of the Bond theme was used in which scene, because it was still always a bit alternated and a bit differently, and that was just fantastic. And with Thomas Newman, you just constantly keep asking yourself, well, can you play any other tune?
Yes. You worked your way up to that one.
It was quite a long way.
You worked your way up to that one. I did it in the last video, so yeah, but point for you. God, I have to keep up. Already trying to think of something. I'm really bad at this. But you're right. Tomorrow Never Dies. I told that to David Arnold when I met him in London, when I interviewed him for my film. I said, Tomorrow Never Dies, the soundtrack. It was a Christmas wish I had, 1998, I think, to get this soundtrack CD. And I got it quite late, so the film was released in 97. So it might have been Christmas 97. I don't really remember, but I still have the CD. And I was such a child that I kept nagging and nagging and nagging until they gave it to me before Christmas even arrived. So, and I remember I was going to Kitzbühel with my grandmother, and I had this on my how did you call that, compact disc player? We had that at the time. Really. No MP3, no nothing, no bullshit. And it was, I think I played through 5 battery packs or something. Because I kept listening and listening and listening, and at some point the songs inside out. I mean, when we Skype, we just whistle the hook lines of The World Is Not Enough and Tomorrow Never Dies. It's always the same that comes up during the boat chase, for example. The cues, we have them in our head.
Yes.
Not just because we grew up with them, but we listen to them regularly.
Yes. Exactly.
I don't listen regularly to Skyfall or Spectre. They have the same cues, but they stay the same all the time. And it's just it's repetition.
Yes.
That's what it is. Tomorrow Never Dies and The World Is Not Enough was not repetition.
No.
It was taking the cue and putting it somewhere, but forming something new.
Yes.
Many people always criticize the electronic elements of especially the soundtrack of Die Another Day. But you had elements of this in The World Is Not Enough. Tomorrow Never Dies was mainly, it was an orchestral, full-blown orchestral score with, I loved that. I loved that. And the use of the Bond theme for me was, it's not like there was too much of it. I loved it. But especially the stealth boat scenes, they had some electronics thrown in there. But Die Another Day was a bit of a mess, musically.
Yes.
But many small cues that really work well, like Kiss of Life. This is almost art, because you hear nothing at the beginning, and then it has a build-up, and I always saw that in front of my closed eyes as a graph that turns bigger.
Yeah.
Until you have that full blown, and then it goes into that theme. And in the background, when you listen closely, you hear the gun barrel of Dr. No. That's ingenious. Of David Arnold. And I told him that story in London, that Tomorrow Never Dies was the CD I wanted to have, and I listened through it so many times, and he was humbled, but I think he hears that a lot of times.
Probably, yes, yeah, you're right. But the CD that you got back then, was that already quite an extensive CD, or was it again a case of a soundtrack that missed many elements of the soundtrack?
No, that was the basic one. It was a standard that they had, because that was released in sometime in '97. You couldn't have an extended edition or whatever. It was the standard, 12 tracks or something that I had.
Well, I mean, on the other side, I remember you had the Star Wars soundtracks back then, and they were many of them I think were even double CDs. But then again, you know, you're talking about John Williams, and of course, in the industry, of course, it's a whole other name than David Arnold. David Arnold is up there as well, but John
Yep.
Williams, you know,
Yep.
which track are you going to scratch or, you know, throw away? It's impossible, really.
Yep. But it's I think many composers are terribly overlooked, and to some extent also John Barry is overlooked. There is a nice thing that I read the other day. Well, it actually wasn't that nice, but I gave it a lot of thought. There is this John Barry Appreciation Society on Facebook, and I have met them in London for a concert, the Don Black concert, and a John Barry concert, Royal Albert Hall, and they really do great stuff. They collect lyrics, they have their own website, and there's an exchange going on. And there's also a book about John Barry, and they offered it to the BFI, I think, which is the London, I think it's film preservation as well, and they have a library and a shop, and they offered the book to them, and they refused to have it in the shop as a regular item.
Okay.
And while somebody on Facebook wrote out of that group, he wrote, well, if that would have been a book about John Williams or Ennio Morricone, they would have taken it out of your dead hands.
Yes.
So that shows me that in some instances, John Barry is still terribly overlooked as a composer.
I think so too, yes.
So Out of Africa was my mother's favorite film.
I was about to bring that up, yeah.
I cried in Royal Albert Hall when that was played live, because you connected to something out of your life, and so many people experience that. And then the work of a composer becomes influence.
Yes.
I don't have that with Morricone, whatever. I have it with John Williams, with the Jurassic Park music. Obviously, because I was a child and you connected to your childhood, but Star Wars, okay.
You know, when you say John Barry is underappreciated, I think that's especially the case because I think you asked me that once for that interview thing, you know, you did for the Bond Bulletin, and what I love about John Williams, he's a very suave, very sort of almost understating way of writing music. You know, you have big orchestral movements and chords, but he can go into the action, but action still is quite coherent. While I think, I mean, we don't have to say that David Arnold is an absolute genius, and I love his soundtracks.
Yes,
but
agree.
His music tends to be very erratic. You have trumpet flares, and you have this, and you have this stuff going on. While John Williams is always sort of like he was himself, with his low voice, and, you know, very sort of cool gentleman-like, and he writes in that style as well, and I find it very pleasant to listen to and very
true,
you know.
True. But in regard to that, I have to mention David Arnold's music for Stargate, which was mainly just orchestral, and just the opening theme of Stargate is such a brilliant and nuanced theme.
Yes.
That you rarely find in film history. I mean, you find a lot of huge themes of huge films of the past and whatever. Yes. Not often with a big orchestra, but I'm an orchestra guy. So I need a full-blown orchestra for so many things. And, you know, when I do my singing, I look for orchestra stuff. Or alternatively, big band, if there are songs that were not originally for big band. Let's say there's a rock tune like Meatloaf and an orchestra plays it, or a big band, I try to match my vocals to it. That is because you create something new. There is a difference in covering a song or making it your own, turning it into something new. And in that regard, I have to think of our piano session that we did, and I told you that I'm going to use that material against you because it has you playing on the piano and me singing Nobody Does It Better, which for The Spy Who Loved Me was a great theme.
Absolutely.
Still today it is, and it is associated with what Bond is. Nobody does it better. I don't like it as being a reference to Bond and what he stands for. I like other music more. like Chris Cornell's "You Know My Name" is more of, it gives me more of, hey, I'm Bond and this is me and you know my name and you know my number. Nobody does it better. It worked for the time. 1977, originally sung by
Carl Simon.
you took a moment there. But our rendition, I liked it very much because we did it, I don't know, 6 times. But you played it out of memory.
Yes, I think so, yes.
Yeah. We only looked one thing up, which was the ending.
Yes.
And I showed it to you on my mobile because I had an orchestra version, because I always use orchestra, and I have really a difficulty singing to a piano. So actually, I'm quite happy that this one turned out quite nicely. I mean, you can listen to it. You would probably not print a CD from it, but let's have a look. It's fun to watch.
Okay.
Sometimes I wish someone could. Nobody does it quite the way you do. Why do you have to be so good? The way that you hold me whenever you hold me. There's some kind of magic inside you that keeps me from running, but just keep it coming. How do you learn to do the things you do? Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it as good as you. Baby, you're the best.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, cool. You like that? That was good.
Well, who was strangling the cats?
Oh God, that sends it over the line. I lost. Yeah. Okay.
Well, that was an experience, no?
Yeah. And that's the second game you won. You won episode 1. So I'm really bad at this. Everybody can see it. I'm really bad at quoting from the Bond films, but okay. Because I told you last time that I don't watch them regularly, so I know where the scenes are that I need, but I don't know the quotes. So
Yes, yeah, exactly. Well, you know, we all
Yeah.
have our strengths and weaknesses, right?
yeah. In a minute, I take the PPKs out of the picture, so I announce the score, and then you are not allowed to say anything anymore.
Ah, okay. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
What a
Well,
great thing. I loved when I stopped singing and you just kept on playing, because it was the last verse. Baby, you're the best. There's not much coming after that. And you just look over your shoulder and say, well, why isn't he singing? And then, I don't know when you realized, but you played a whole verse through, and then you sort of put the outro in just to give that a rest. But it was fun. I liked it.
Yeah.
I can't do that in my apartment here because I don't have a piano.
Well, at least you don't have a piano that's out of tune. I mean, this old box is just completely out of tune. It was well.
But it was okay. It served our purpose. I think nobody will haunt us for doing a little fun element with proper Bond theme. But we
Yes.
did Live and Let Die, but I think that doesn't work well with piano.
No, not piano alone. No,
No.
that's well. The intro, of course, is mostly piano in the original, but well, then again, you
Yeah.
have Paul McCartney playing it. That's not exactly the same.
Yeah. I mean, we did it, but we did it a couple of times. Like we did Nobody Does It Better, but that was somehow easier to do.
Yes.
I know the song inside out, and it is a piano piece
Yes.
originally. So, and although I can't sing to a piano properly, I think without microphones and everything, just as a jam session, we did a pretty good job. I liked it. I loved it because it was just out of the in the afternoon.
Yes.
I think I didn't even have a drink.
No. It's just when we came back from shooting somewhere. I don't know. I think in Bern or something like that.
Yep. And it was
sat down
just,
and
let's just do this.
yeah.
That's how we roll.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, talking about music, we were just talking about before the underappreciation of John Barry, and I think it's still, since we started with The World Is Not Enough, I still think we have to say the same thing about David Arnold, because he's written all of these also for Tomorrow Never Dies and so on, but let's stay with The World Is Not Enough, these secondary melodies, so to speak. So you have The World Is Not Enough. One is the da 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 da.
Yeah, correct.
And then you have the other one that I always fail miserably in trying to reinterpret or whistle is very bad, which was the dee na 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 na.
Yeah, that is very prominent in the boat chase.
Yes, exactly. And
I would put it in, but probably YouTube will block my video.
Yeah. So you just have to live with my rendition, right? And I think those are quite. I mean, they're memorable melodies as well. So again, you have a terrific melody writer in David Arnold as well, which is just because these two, especially, they are. It's fantastic. They work, and they've used them very prominently in the games, the PlayStation 1 and 2 games. Which is PlayStation 1? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was PlayStation 1, yeah.
Yeah, so they made a whole arrangements just on these two secondary themes. So that alone says it all, you know.
Yeah, it was also a Nintendo 64 version. There was also a multiplayer level rendition of that.
Yes.
I remember it, but I never found it again in the sound. I really don't know what track it is, but otherwise in soundtrack terms, I just have to hear a couple of seconds and I know what it is and where it is and where it's from. Probably just like you, like GoldenEye, that's useless to play that game with you. So, but the Brosnan scores, I can pretty much pinpoint where something comes from, and I cherish a lot of that music. Obviously, also from the old films, but with John Barry's music.
Yes.
But I remember we listened to Bill Conti's music. Of For Your Eyes Only. Especially the opening sequence with the helicopter. That was from the expanded score. And when it was finished, we repeated it because it's such a great theme.
Yes.
Although many people hate it for being what it is. So we had Bond music. We pay tribute to other composers. It is very nice. We don't always have to talk about Bond exclusively. Watch the boat chase of The World Is Not Enough.
Yes.
Terribly exciting. And as I said before, you can order a DVD special edition of A View to a Boat Chase, that one here, via bondpix.com. I put the address under the video. And that concludes another Swiss connection with Yannick as the winner of One Quote Is Not Enough.
Once again.
With me just having 1 point this time. But okay, then we are at 2 beers when you're here.
Okay.
All right. I say good night, Switzerland. What was your thing to say?
You want to go again? Good night.
Well, just say it. We taught the people Swiss German in the last episode, so please use it.
Good night.
Good Nacht.